Traders, hello and welcome back to another pre-market prep. I am your host, Kevin Dubrisky with Bullishbrs. Today we're going to be looking at some ES, NQ, crude oil, and gold. We're going to find some trade setups that might be working out and some setups that might not be working out. Let me just make sure everything is running smoothly. Perfect, great, wonderful. And let me just get that link going over to our community. Alrighty. Okay, it should be good. I don't know, YouTube, it looked like it was an issue streaming, but it should be okay right now. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, good morning. Screen 2. Wonderful, wonderful. So we just had some CPI data, so market is clearly going to give us a big flush with that. And of course, like always, guys, that does give us a data high and data low. Now, I'm personally not expecting us to come back into that data high or data low. Really the data high, I'm really not expecting us to come back to that today. But I would be curious to see how price wants to react to it. Maybe tomorrow, the following day, to see if we can make our way back higher. So we have our data high, our data low to the downside. We're still trying to continue lower, so we're going to be a little patient. ES did dive into a 45-minute demand zone. However, this demand zone was broken from a gap at some point. Excuse me. Thank you. So we're going to be a little patient on that. Good morning, everybody. Hope you guys are all doing well. What's up, SW? Preacher, Jay, Boston. Good morning, fellas. Good morning, good morning. Look at that. Look at this internal buy-side liquidity I had marked out the other day on ES. Look at this. Short position entry 1, then another short entry 2, and that would have been for this crazy sell-off for that data low. Let's throw our data low in there just so we could sort of get started, get an idea of that. We'll do data. Great. So now it gives us our range for today, right? So right now we're looking for 60.98 to 60.28. That's a 70-point range. So we're going to be patient, see how the market wants to react. You guys know one of my favorite setups to trade with data high and data low is to see if we could sweep one and sort of reverse and head towards that other one. Hey, good morning, Clint. What's going on, my man? Good morning, good morning. Hope all is doing well. So let's take a look at our 30-minute. Let's look at any time frame that might have some area of support or resistance we could keep an eye on. Now, unfortunately, and let's bring the chart a little bigger here. Now, unfortunately, guys, if we're looking at ES, and let's look at the hourly time frame, we see this hourly range we're in, right? We have highs up here. We're going to mark that out with a rectangle just to give us an idea. We have the highs up here. We'll make that like a blue so we see. So we see every time we come into the 61.20 to about 61.50, we sell off, we sell off, we sell off, we sold off. So this is the top of our range on the higher time frame, and the bottom of our range on the lower time frame, unfortunately, is a little large, right? So at first it looks like this is the bottom of our range, but we haven't tested the bottom of our range in quite some time. Now the question is, do we want to hold these lows right here and continue making higher lows to continue this uptrend? Now, it might not look like an uptrend here because we've been making some lower highs. However, this is the hourly time frame. If we look at the daily time frame, we're struggling, but we're very range bound, very struggling in ESNQ right now. I mean, no consistency anywhere. Broke previous day high, closed red, broke previous day high, closed green, broke previous day high, flipped and turned red, broke previous day low and stayed green. So it's a tough position right now, and it's a tough market structure we're dealing with when it comes to the ES and NQ. It's not at all-time highs. All-time highs are up here. It's not at major pivots low, so it's sort of hard for me to say I'm definitely bearish on a market like this. Right now, I feel like the market is trying to find its footing. And what I say by that is the market's trying to find something that it could say, okay, I'm sure that this is happening. I'm certain this is okay. When the market has uncertainty, whether it's because of the tariff information or because of the CPI data or any jobless claims, whatever the case may be, if there's uncertainty in the market, we're not going to get a smooth trend. Now, when we get news events, CPI, PPI, that could be enough to either help us trend or help us reverse. Now, right now, we had our CPI data, and it didn't really, I wouldn't consider this a full-blown reversal yet, because yes, this is a strong candle to the downside, but we've seen a lot of strong lower wicks recently. Look at this big long lower wick right here. If we pulled our measurement tool out, this wick itself is 76 points. Now, that's not to say that this 61 points right here that we're definitely going to reverse. However, it's something to keep in mind that it is actually possible. Looks like they shouldn't have lowered interest rates too much too soon, and now surprise inflation. Yo, Nicole, you got that right. You got that right. And I put out some videos too, guys. I'm going to be putting out more consistently YouTube videos to our Bullish Bears on YouTube. And it's going to be more short content, and it's going to be covering different news and economic events. So this morning we had our CPI, so I'm probably going to cover how that news went, what was our expected, and what was the actual. Today is Wednesday. We had core inflation rate. And I would go over this, say, okay, we had forecast 0.3, actual was 0.4, go over how the market reacted to it, right? Obviously, how did the market react to it? It was very bearish. Now, something I do know is we do have Fed Chair Powell testimony at 10 o'clock. Very important, guys, very important. Might say something that might help shift the market. We got to be careful. Now, we are still ducking lower. So let's be patient. This is not previous day low anymore. This is previous day high. And if we take a look at the NASDAQ as well, it's probably also very range bound. Look at this, guys. NASDAQ's been respecting this trend line like crazy. Crazy. Look at this rejection, rejection, tried to break out, rejection. And look at these candles, a perfect push, trying to move us back lower. But if we can't break this level right here, let's change the text on this one. Let's do a little bear emote on that. If we can't break that level, it's hard for me to stay bearish on something like the NASDAQ. Because right now we're trying to make a higher low, a higher low, a higher low. If we break this higher low right here, then the next level of support is until 20,943. So we went from 21,400 all the way to, can I duplicate that? Let's see. So it goes from 21,418 all the way down to 20,943. And again, bring your measurement tool out, and that is about a 400, almost 500 point move on NASDAQ. Now, that doesn't mean I'm looking for a 500 point move today. What that means is if we do break this and I'm looking to aim lower for my trades, then I might be able to target this price level, right? I can expect or look for price to react. Now, something I will look for too is if we want to break this 21,418 and then reverse after we break, because a lot of people might have their stop positions at this point. So we're going to be patient on that. Let's check our 4-hour. Let's see, delete some old zones, delete anything that might be a little bit of a mess. I like this demand zone. There's a 4-hour demand zone right here on NASDAQ. It held up once here. I know this wick lower, it did technically break it, but we have to remember when we broke that demand zone, it wasn't an actual break with price action. It was a break due to the gap lower when price opened, but then it did wick lower for a moment and then push back higher. So I still consider this green area as an area where there's a lot of active buyers. And look at that. NASDAQ's reacting to this level right now. So that's a level I'm going to be keeping an eye on. So here's our data high and our data low. Now with the data low, because we're still sort of trading near these lows, I'm probably not going to be using the data low too much. I'm really going to be using the demand zone that we're in to look for some type of support. Let's see. And previous day high and low, did we do that on NAS? Let's do that on NAS over here. Daily. previous day high, previous day low. And then, guys, we're going to check the stats on those to see what are the odds that we want to continue lower if we break that previous day low on a weekday. So let's do watch lists, previous day's range, and then NQ. Guys, give me a half a second. I will be right back. Alrighty. Let's see. So let's take a look at crude and gold. I am curious to see what are the trends on crude oil and gold. Are we looking for any better trades there, or should we just stay focused on ES and NQ today? Now, because of the range-bound price action we noted just before on ES and NQ, we're most likely going to be staying out of them. So let's see. Crude oil, previous day high, previous day low. Let's see. Oh yeah, first let's check back on NASDAQ on that previous day low broken. So New York range, let's do the daily range. Let's go by weekday. And I see, look at this, guys, by weekday, 89% chance of closing red today on the NASDAQ. That is huge. Huge. Let's take a quick pick of that, and we're going to see if we could find any good potential setups. Now, the reason it's so important to note the this big 89% red is to sort of give us an idea of where we should be expecting price and what we should be really looking for. Now, I want to see, why is the bear price right there? It's pretty funny. Oh, that's supposed to be right there. Like, what's going on? Previous day low. Now, I really wanted to see if we had any zones in here, but of course, because we had a news candle push us lower like this, we're not really going to get a proper supply or demand zone at that point. So what I'm going to look for is I'm going to see if we have a demand zone that formed here that we broke, so I could look to use that as a flip zone. So I'm looking for an hourly, a 30-minute, something like that in this area for me to go short off of. Now, I'm really not seeing much, which does make it a little difficult to find a good point of control or point of interest to find these short positions. So I'm going to stay patient. I'm going to keep these levels, this one and this one, the blue and the green, on my chart, because even though the demand zone was broken, it did sort of hold up as an area of interest, held as support, resistance, support, support. So maybe we come back into a 21,725 on NQ for resistance. So let's take a quick screenshot, and that's sort of what we're going to be looking at today because of that high percent chance that we close red. Good morning, Marcus. What do you do with all the zones that rip through by news? Just remove them? Good question. So if news rips through a zone, I usually won't remove them that day. I'll keep them for that day because I'll use them as areas of interest to the other side. So if this was a demand zone that got broken due to this data candle, then I would leave this as an area of interest to say, okay, if we could come back and retest this zone, I might look for shorts here if selling pressure shows itself, right? That means if we have a 5-minute candle wick into it and then the next 5-minute candle retest it, I'll look for a short position, tighten up the stop loss, and we'll look for us to continue lower. However, if we start to break higher and we break through this zone, no problem, I might look for a fair value gap to form over it or an imbalance to form over it, and then I'll take the retest and go along, targeting that data high. So this is my area of interest right now. Same with this blue zone, but really more that green. So let's do our quick little write-up on NQ here. Oh, did I not send that yesterday? Guess not. All right, let's see. So NASDAQ, NQ, NASDAQ. And what are we doing? What do we see? NASDAQ's been range bound since like mid-December. The NASDAQ and S&P 500 have been fairly range bound since about middle December, trying to make lower highs while trying to make lower lows. However, it hasn't made a lower low since January 13th. Okay, perfect. So, right, this gives me an idea of how is the market sentiment right now, right? Well, I'm saying out loud and I'm writing down, journaling, however you want to review it, that the NASDAQ and S&P 500 have been fairly range bound since middle of December. So if that's the case, it's going to be hard for me to find a trend and trade that trend because I know we're very range bound. Trying to make lower highs while trying to make lower lows. Hasn't made a lower low since January 13th. There's a lot of uncertainty in the market. So trade carefully. And then some key levels I was looking at on NQ, guys. Obviously, is going to be the supply, some demand. See what's in the screenshot. So we have supply. Supply is 21,865, and I don't think we're going to come all the way up there again. Demand 21,518, which we have held already, so I'm going to look to see when price opens up. If we want to come take this data low out inside demand and find some support, then I'll go long, maybe targeting this area of interest. That'll look something like this. Sweep of that low inside demand, targeting that previous day low price, or even the target above. But look at that, 160 points on that move. So we got to be careful, and we got to size appropriately too. Demand 21.5. Is that 18? 18. Key level. Oh no, key levels. All right, key levels again. Previous day high. 21,871. 50. Previous day low. 21,669. 50. It's a fan of the 50s today. And what else we got? AOI, areas of interest. AOI. $21,725. And the edge full stat we saw that we were using before, guys, is that is the good. I am sharing my screen. Is the is it previous day low broken? When the previous day low breaks on NASDAQ during the daily session on a Wednesday, we have an 89% chance of closing red. Okay, all right. 89% chance of closing red. Beautiful. This helps a bearish bias. However, we have Fed Powell at 10 a.m. Eastern. All right, perfect, beautiful, and wonderful. Crude oil, gold, what are they looking at like? Now, something I would like to see on crude is I'd like to see this daily imbalance. Now, some people see this previous day low broken and they're like, oh, I got to take this short. But let's take a look at our previous day of the week. We have that already in crude oil. Let's see, what are the stats? Wednesday, previous day low broken, 85% chance of closing red. Okay, it's pretty heavy. But it's sort of, can't be 50-50 if it's only 5 examples, but let's see, green, red, red. So I would sort of anticipate more of a green day. But we have to remember on crude oil, since January 16th, we've had mainly a majority of red days. However, if we zoom into our current trend, our recent move higher, we are trying to break that. We are trying to continue higher on crude. Something I do want to note, guys, when trading something like crude oil in times like this, and when I say times like this, I am talking about the uncertainty in the market and the whole Trump situation, right? We don't know exactly right now, tariff-wise, if he's going to be implementing a strong 25% tariff on Canada, which is going to have a strong impact on our oil supply because the U.S. gets 60% of their oil supply from Canada. So if we were to tax them an extra 25% on that oil supply, guess who has to end up paying for it? Is the American people, the companies here in America. Yes, the other country gets the tariff, but what they're going to do is raise the prices. Jerome Powell speaks again at Congress. U.S. Defense Secretary Hegseth, our message is clear. The war in Ukraine must end. And U.S. Defense Secretary Hegseth, the U.S. is prioritizing preventing war with China. No, okay, yeah, I hope so. All right, let's see. So let's take another look at crude. I do want to see if we find any levels of support. Now, we did have this 4-hour demand zone right here. Now, we swept it for a second, but we stayed trying to hold it. So with that being said, I'm going to be a little patient and really probably looking for longs on oil. And I'm probably going to wait for this hourly to close. And the 2-hour doesn't close for another hour. The 90-minute also closes in 6 minutes. And then same with the 30. I would want to see how the 30-minute closes. Now, if the 30-minute could close as a basing candle, that would be a red body like this, longer lower wick. I would then take a long position somewhere in the body of this candle. And then I would look to target maybe somewhere up in here. Now, this is a pretty clean trade that I took on gold yesterday. I actually took it mobile. Let's see. It was this trade right here. So we were coming off of, this was a broken supply zone at the time. See, this was our supply. We broke it, and I used it as support. Once that 30-minute candle ended up closing, where are we? Well, once we started moving away from that zone, we created this 5-minute fair value gap. That was my entry price, and I ended up scaling out right at this candle right here. It was only one contract, a nice quick little move. Could have targeted the blue area of interest or even higher, but look at that. Throughout the day, eventually, gold ends up pulling back. So it was a good enough scalp, but again, the trade was because I was looking for that 30-minute candle to start to form. Now, because we're below that 30-minute candle, I'm going to use this as our area of interest. And again, same situation. I'm going to look to see if we could find some selling pressure in here. Now, we do have a little pivot right here, so we're going to mark this out as our buy-side liquidity. And that's an internal, right? Because it's a lower time frame buy-side liquidity. So we do IBSL. Internal buy-side liquidity. Because if you could only really see this pivot on like a 15-minute, a 30-minute, and lower. If you go to the hourly, you're not really getting a pivot there. If you're looking for a pivot, the pivot would be up here on the hourly. So very strong area on the lower time frame right there. If we could close below, look for a retest, and if we hold that internal buy side liquidity, then guess what? That could work as our stop loss. If we do break it and start to reverse, then it'll work as our entry. So one or the other, that's sort of what we're looking for on gold. Unfortunately, on gold, we have been more bullish lately, but we're pulling back on this candle, right? We were at all-time highs. This is all-time highs on gold up here, and we rejected it. We reversed, we pushed lower. That's also why I was bullish yesterday, because we were making all-time highs. But every time gold does make an all-time high, even over here, strong pullback, it broke that all-time high, pulled back, broke it again, pulled back, broke it again. Now we've had a bit of a consistent run, so I'm just really being patient right now. If we look at gold on previous day's range, previous day's range, 10 daily session, and we go by weekday, 90% chance of closing red, guys. So odds are definitely against gold right now to the upside. But trend-wise, we got to remember stats versus trend. Stats versus trend. Right now, the trend is still a bit more bullish. The stats are telling me to be a bit more bearish. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be patient and sort of let the market come to me and give me some type of idea on, are we bullish, are we bearish, or should I remain neutral and not take any trades at all? So that's gold. Same stitch with crude oil. We were looking to see how crude wants to react. I think the 30-minute, did it close yet? No, we got a couple minutes. Guys, I'm going to be right there, and then we'll see how these 30-minute and hourly candles close. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have just a minute. What do we have? 40 seconds until we get that 30-minute candle close. Now, we do have a pretty nice 15-minute candle right here on crude, but we would need this 15-minute candle to really push higher for these last 30 seconds or so. Do you ever scalp the news on just momentum? Not really. I'm not a big fan of that. Sometimes, but very rarely. It's not a good habit, guys. Scalping just from momentum, that's not giving you confirmation, unless the momentum is from a confirmation, right? Let's see. Oh, I wanted to bring Bookmap up. We'll take a look at Bookmap. All right, guys, YouTube guys, make sure you drop a like, drop a comment. Let me know if you guys like these pre-market preps. I got to figure out if I want to either make the pre-market preps just like set them as unlisted on what's it called? Okay, I sort of like this here on crude, but I would really need to see us find support here. And if we could find support here, I will take a long on crude. But that's only if we find support. If we don't find support, no trade. Nope, no trade. Broke that low. Still level of support right here, but we're going to be patient. No trade on crude. Take a look at ES and NQ as well. We got sell-off on crude right there. ES, any levels of support. 60-20 is a pretty strong level. And then NQ, we want to see if there's any levels. 2150, 21500. So we'll just wait and see how price wants to react down here. And I like the retest of this demand zone for sure. But we'd be patient. Can't just jump in because I like the retest. I have to jump in because A, B, and C in the retest, right? Because we found support, because whatever the case may be. But right now, markets were trying to move lower. So no rushing into anything. Don't jump into a trade that might be a loser right out the gate. Not worth it, guys. I like that. Let's see. I like NQ to continue higher. But all this pressure into the downside, we'd have to be careful. I'd look for an entry here. 21,500. I would stop out before 21,500 because I don't want to give myself 9 more points of stop loss. And if you stop out, then you could just re-enter, readjust. But right now we are in this demand zone. But look at the selling pressure. Yeah, we'll get right out. I literally went just a handful of MNQ contracts, right? I went micro on that because I knew that the odds were a bit lower because we just had a news candle. I wanted to see 21,500 hold as support, but we might move lower. So I'm going to manually stop out of any longs I'm in right now. Call it a day there on NQ. Well, not really call it a day, but be patient for the next setup, right? We don't want to be jumping the gun again. Now we'll wait for this 5 minute to close, maybe wait for a 15-minute to close. Now the 15 really looked good for a reversal. That's what had me bullish in general. But going long again, it's hard to jump the gun like that. We don't want to be jumping any guns. 40 seconds left, however. And it looks like it's trying to find some support. We'll jump that gun. Nice little sweep of the data low. I mean, yeah, if we could get... I like the 15-minute for a potential reversal based off of this candle. Like, if we could get back above this price level, we should be golden on these longs. So we're going to just be a little patient here. 13 seconds left. If it fails, right on out. If it continues, we hold this and probably even add. 3 seconds. Oof, really needed it above my entry price to want to add to it. So we'll just hold for now. Really want to see price above this black level right here. But sellers are pretty active right now. Buyers are trying to bring us back, but they're struggling pretty hard at the moment. So we want to take note of that struggle, and we want to just sort of be patient. We are at a demand zone, so sort of a rock and a hard place, right? Trying to trend lower, but we're at an area of support. So be careful, tight stop losses, and trade carefully. Like my stop loss immediately, a new low right there. And then if this trade don't work out, I'm done for the day. 2 little losses, not feeling the market. I'll call it a day there. There we go. Some buying pressure and it fails. Yep, not looking good on these longs. Gonna stay patient. Still hasn't hit my stop loss just yet. Looking like it. It's trying. And it really wants that 21,500. That's a very heavy level of liquidity down there. And these sellers, though, trying to bring us lower. Hard to fight that trend like that. Yeah, look at that. Seller's trying to bring it again. Gonna stay patient. Now, I wouldn't really want to flip to a short right now, but I really would be careful on any longs. Like I said, we're at a level of support. We've been trying to move lower, though. We took out that data low. Yeah, I think we want to try to dive lower to that 500. So I'm going to manually stop out of this small loss, not even down 100 on the day. That's how small these are. And look at that. I might have just psyched myself out of this trade right there. Not going to do it again. We're going to stay patient. We're going to see, okay, what's crude doing? What's gold doing? Oh, NAS. That's not nice. Yes, gold. There we go, gold. What's gold doing right here? Gold came into this internal buy-side liquidity area, so we're going to add an alert on gold. Sort of like this fair value gap right here. Oh, how's the 30-minute look? Is this the same setup as yesterday? No, it's not. Oh, but the 15 looks good to continue on gold. This might be our trade right here. Forget NAS. NAS is continuing back higher, though, just an FYI. But I'm probably looking for gold now. Yeah, with gold support. Now, it's hard to trade gold, guys, because remember, guys, gold has a very wide spread, so it's hard to market order into it. So definitely, if you do want to enter gold, use the little plus and then buy or sell. There we go, gold. Love it. That's what I'm talking about. 912.60 is my first TP on gold. Beautiful run. There we go. Look at that. Up and then some on this trade. Let's get it. I'm going to get out at 29.12.60. Or if it wants to give us a super strong run, then I'm not going to get out there. But not much resistance above us right now. We did have some pretty strong buying pressure. But we're struggling. Come on, give me another run right here. One more leg. One more leg. 58 seconds left. I'm going to get out. I'm going to get out in some strength. Made back our little loss we had before. Look at that. One trade makes back 2 losses. That's sort of the goal when it comes to our trading and our system, guys. Now, it could find some support and completely pop, but it could also find some resistance and completely drop. So that's why I got out, because we were hesitating right before this price level. Now, 30 seconds left, plenty of time for it to pop one more time, and it can pop one more time. I just wanted to play it safe. That was a nice scalp. That was a really nice scalp position off of gold. Guys, I'm going to be wrapping up the stream shortly. Don't forget, guys, join me on Futures Fever today on Benzinga and get a chance to win a free Apex account. So go to Benzinga YouTube or wherever. Benzinga YouTube, my Futures Fever show live. And tomorrow, guys, Crocs has earnings, and yours truly is going to be there for the earnings call on Benzinga's live stream. That's going to be pretty cool. So that's tomorrow morning at 8:20. So Futures Fever today, guys, 11:30 a.m. Eastern. Join for a chance to win a free Apex account. All you have to do is join in the first 10 minutes or so, and then in the comments will be the link to put your email and your name. If you win, winners get announced on Friday. Cool stuff. Gold looks good to continue. There we go, gold. There it is. Boom. Love it. Yo, random. You already know. You already know, my boy. Yes, sir. Damn, big pop on gold. Resistance right here at this 29.15. Let's see if buyers have enough strength to bring us through. Look at that. They're trying. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. Dude, I love that. Love it, love it, love it. All right, guys. If you guys got any questions, please feel free. Direct message me, whatever y'all got to do. I'm going to wrap up the live stream here. YouTube, hit that like, hit that subscribe.